Welcome. Obviously you've jumped across with the banner to have a look at the installation guide. Look at this bloke here on this thumbnail. Is that the most involved thumbnail you've ever seen in your life? It's got everything on there. You don't have to watch the video, it's all on the thumbnail. But what isn't on the thumbnail is the full installation video, and let's get into it. I'll take you through the steps and a couple of little hacks and modifications that you must do and how to do that. So sit back and enjoy the Verreal RS all-terrain pneumatic tyre installation video, and thanks so much for joining me, and thanks for all your support. Enjoy. Okay, we're going to now attach these new all-terrain 6-inch wheels, 150s, onto the Verreal RS. For those of you, it's a pretty straightforward job. You've got to take the wheel off, you've got to take the belt off, take the cover off, and then you put it all on, and then you got to adjust the motor mounts by loosening them. Look, I'll make it reasonably quick. For those that haven't done it before, this will be a great tutorial. I'll do it quite quick, but we'll get the all-terrain wheels on. Let's take it for a test drive, but after that, or should I say before, I'll take some nice HD footage of how it looks, because they're going to look damn sexy, these wheels. Just a nice size on there, just going to look really good. Okay, you will need to get yourself a decent set of Allen keys, titanium engineering, a ratchet socket set, obviously a skate tool for your hub nut, and the 4 wheels with the built-on pulley. So let's go on to that straight away. Okay, so first things first, let's get the cloud wheel off the 120s using the hub nut removal. Let's get this off. Don't lose your speed washer, which is there. There we go, and it's a nice gold one as well. Check that out. How cool is that? Okay, let's get these off and have a look at this this setup. Your hub nuts and washers. Right, so for this particular job, I like to put it vertically up so I can have a look down below and check out what it is. For this, you're going to need the metric Allen key. You'll need a 3 metric Allen. Yep, they're not too tight, which is good. Sometimes Vic puts these on with a bit of Loctite and they crack, and you can smell that Loctite break, but these are pretty good. So put them all in one spot. Take the belt cover off, which is pretty quick and easy to do. There we go, and keep that in there. Always keep them in the same spot so you can see them. Once you've now got the belt cover off, you can now just manipulate and get this gearing off. We just wiggle it. It will eventually come loose. Pop the bearing out of there, which is the easiest way of doing it. It just fits back in there. You've got a speed washer on top of that as well. Don't get these mixed up. Put that back in there, and the belt comes off. Now I just want to show you something. For people talking about this particular setup on the new RS, have a look at this. Just have a look at the quality of this cog. Look at it. Just absolutely beautiful. Keyed in, gorgeous. Really high quality. Yeah, this is a really remarkable motor. These motors are sourced by Vic independently, and look at that, that's just beautiful. Okay, if you want to know the order of what it is, it's simply the belt, then it's the prongs and the gearing, then it's a speed washer, steel, then it's a brass washer, then it's the actual cloud wheel, then it's another brass washer, gold, and then there's a lock nut at the end. That's the order it goes in. So just simply that goes on there, that goes in there, that goes on next. This silver first, the brass one second, then the cloud wheel, and then you got your brass washer and your nut. That's the order it goes on. Okay, when you put the gearing in together, you've got to have one of these brass washers in between there, right? And it's quite tricky because they can fall around, so you're going to have to put it, because it just helps the actual bearings not rub together. So you put it like that, dead straight, right on there. You line it up And if you line it up and you push it down, you can see it's still there. Then I would get yourself an Allen key and make sure you put the Allen key in the middle. That will now ensure that it doesn't go anywhere, because otherwise it'll fall around. Then you put your belt on like that, and keeping that Allen key like that, you can see you've still got that washer in the right spot. And then you can put it straight on. You'll notice that on the motor mounts, there's actually not 3, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws holding the motor onto the mount. Now, because when you put the wheel on, you're going to need to, you can't access this one, you loosen this in advance now, and you can adjust these 3 and then take it all off again and tighten that one. Let's do it. Right, and then you just lift it up, put it straight on. And if I get this done right, I think this belt should just go on. You just squeeze it together like that, and push it up high at the back, wiggle it a bit, and boom, you're on. Okay, so you're on. Once you've done that, you can then put the one flat brass or gold washer, or whatever I call it, screw that on. You can do this tight because you don't need to worry about any movement like on the transite, where the center core pulls the stator from the rotor and pulls it out. You can actually, just move that around a bit for you so you can see that. You can tighten it on quite tight because all it's doing is pushing, there you go, it's pulling the gearing onto the wheel, so that's fine. Now you can see from this angle here, if I get down there, you can see that's way too loose. There should be 4mm movement, or 5, that's about 8. You can see it's coming off, you know, a little bit off the actual the cog on the motor cog. So you need to pull that out till you get the 5mm. This is quite a fiddly process. We'll do it now. I'll show you. You'll get an idea how intricate this is. You've got to get it exactly right. It takes you a while, and we'll do it right now. So we'll loosen this up. And now the motor, it should come quite loose from the motor mount. And we can then, oh yeah, you can feel that straight away. And good work to Vic. He's now fixed those slots so they weren't hourglass, because what happened last time, and you put your fingers behind the back like that, and you just push with them, and you can pull it out. You can feel now that that's about 5mm. At that point, all you got to do is just, when you hold it there, you just quickly tighten that front one, and it will, because only one bolt holding it, may corrupt it when you tighten them all, but that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. You don't want the belts too tight, you don't want the belts too loose, you want the Goldilocks right exact spot. But that looks pretty good. We'll give that a go for starters and see how that goes. Now we're going to tighten them all, take the wheel off, and we have to then tighten that back one and put the wheel back on again. It should be fine. Now getting that back on is a bit tricky because you've got to get it back on to that tightness, and I'll just show you how you do that. Okay, so once you've got the belt exactly right with the front one tightened, you tighten the other ones and the other one there. Now once those 3 are tightened, that's pretty much the belt in position and the motor in position 99.9% there. Now you've got to get to the back one to tighten that back motor mount. The way that you just wiggle the belt off, you will get it back on. It's not going to be easy because it's going to be tighter, of course, but you will get it off. It would help if I take the hub nut off. It's hilarious. Okay, so yeah, so once you've taken that wheel off and wiggle it off a bit, there we go. Leaving that there. You've now got to tighten that back one, which I'll just get the Allen key, and I'll do that right now. That's the last one. And this is the one that will actually level it a bit. And by leveling it, think of it as that last one coming up. It might just tighten that belt a little bit from where you adjusted it, but not much. Okay, so there we go. And then just give it a nice tighten. And not over tight, but it's got to hold the motors on nicely. Do them all now. And that one there. Be very careful not to strip these or wreck these heads, because you only got one shot at this. And there you go. That's why I use engineering titanium Allen keys. Right, that's it. Now we're going to put it back on. You've got to put that, well, there's 2 ways of doing it. You can either go again the way you went before by putting it on, because they can fall around. So you're going to have to put it, because it just helps the actual bearings not rub together. So you put it like that, dead straight, right on. See, it's still there. Then the middle, that will now ensure that it doesn't go anywhere. That, and keeping that Allen key like that, and then you can put it straight on. Okay, and before you put the wheel on, you'll notice that unlike the Evolves, they have a built-in little step here. It's just pure, you know, shaft down to an end. So you need to put this speed, the silver one that Vic gives you, and that drops over there. And that means that when the bearing goes on, it's gripping the inside and letting it spin. You're not, the whole bearing's not rubbing against that whole flat area. That's really important. Then you can put this on. Yeah. And then trying to get it on and wiggle it on, and I'll just show you the best way of doing this. There's really, I think that's the best way of doing it. And you put that on. Okay, so when you've got it, make sure you have it on the teeth up high. You can look, so it's got the full, you pinch it together and you just go towards that thing, and you'll be able to slowly, you might need a little knife or the Allen key, and you can just wedge it on by just slowly moving it, and there it goes, it's on. Okay, so it wasn't that hard, and it has made that belt a little bit loose now because it pulls the motor up, which is where I want it. So start with a little bit tighter. When you tighten that last one, it'll bring the motor in, and that will tighten a fraction more. That's it. And then you just put on your lock nut nice and tight, and there you go, beautiful. Last step is to put the metal belt covers on, and just use the existing screws. Okay, and just put the screws in, and know that I'm not over tightening it. Okay, just nice there on that one, there, that one, there you go. It's a nice clearance on that. You could have gone, you may have even got away with those plastic ones. They sit under. I might have a look at that. If that works, I might change that, because that gap I'm not happy with. I want it to be a bit more tighter. Okay, so when Vic sends you these all-terrain kit, you'll get a set of metal belt covers. You can see them. They do fit on well, and they do work, but the gap there is still, as you can see, quite significant. And because the old ones, would you believe, are actually the old ones, sorry, are more narrow. As you can see there, they're actually thinner. They will actually go on, would you believe, perfectly like my Evolve. And if you look at that gap, there's a significant gap there, but yet it still blocks it off nicely. So yeah, you can use the original belt covers on these all-terrains. They look much better and keep the dust out. And just a word of advice, when you're tightening all these, especially with plastic belt covers, don't over tighten them. You can snap them and crack them. I've done it before with my Evolve, so you can crack them. That's all you need. That's clearing nicely. That's clearing by about 3 mil. Okay, let's get the other side on. Okay, so I've just adjusted the other one now. Another way of putting it on, which is a bit easier, just shake the spacer there, put it on. Make sure you got that speed washer there, really important. Get it on like that. Now drop the belt off the cog and then put it onto the motor spindle, and then you just make sure it's down flat. When that's on there, keep it straight, just kind of move it round and wheel it round, and then you just get to a point where backwards and forwards, it goes straight on. There we go. And that's it. We turn it over. You'll now see that those, just pin it down, they're the same tension on both. 5mm, 5mm. I always use the one finger all the time. So use the one finger, 5mm movement, 5mm. You can tell with the one finger if there's any difference. Okay, we should put the belt covers on now, and we'll get into it. So by adding that little tiny washer, that little brass skull washer in between the gearing prongs and the wheel, those two bearings from the wheel and the gearing prongs don't rub together the full face. They're separated by that little tiny washer, which means you can tighten it really tight like that's hit home. And now it still spins, right? But if you back it off half a turn, it now spins beautifully. That's really important. Make sure you do that. That washer has to go in between. Okay, so then you get the other belt cover on, and then there they go. Look at that. There they are. Beautiful. And look at the clearance on that. Beautiful. They look so sexy. They're not a big wheel and they look really nice. So let's get the front wheels on, and then that'll be it. They'll be done. That's one. And two. So yeah, you've got these little brass gold washers on these as well, so keep onto those. Get rid of that. The wheel goes straight onto there. Brass washer on there, and then make sure the center's on there. Brass washer on there. I like to have it round head up, and then you just tighten it up. You can tighten up really tight because they spin like crazy. And that is it, my friends. Look at that, done. Really impressive. So let's take it out now and clear the table. And gee, it looks nice, really looks nice. And we'll do some HD video of it. Then we'll go for a ride, and I'll tell you what I think on 60 PSI, 50 and 40 PSI. Wow, looks gorgeous. I'll just show it better with the angle, that's better. You can see it better like that now. Yeah, really nice. Beautiful DuPont rims. Yeah, just gorgeous. Okay, now I'm going to do a quick test. First of all, the first thing I'm going to do is test whether there's movement between the wheel and the motor, and that gearing and the adapters. No, there's no movement there at all. It is rock solid. So the original ones had some issues on the original RS with the my tramper wheels, but now that's dead tight. There's no movement there at all. Okay, now the next thing I hear you say, is it straight? Let's test it out. Okay, hold it down. Look at that. Look at the tolerance on that. The tolerance on that. There's no wobble, no movement. They're absolutely perfect. Wow. Okay, Vic, you done good. Let's go have a ride. In relation to tread pattern, I thought they were unidirectional. They're not. See how their lines go out, or they go on the front, they go in. So what you need to do is the back tyres, you have to have the treads running in to the centre, right? Which is running back. Because then the water comes up, if you go through water, and spins it in the middle and throws it out here away from the motors. So it brings it from the road up and takes it out the centre. If you spun this on slow motion, the water gets taken the centre and out in a spray at the back, centred, right? But the front wheels, you have them going back, right? So when the water hits, it sprays the water out away from the tyre, which is what you want for the front tyres for performance in the wet. So front tyres, treads going back, and the rear tyres, treads going forward, right? That will help keep water away from the motors, and will help take water away when you're carving at the front. Okay, that's the tread directional. Okay, well, if you're here to the end, thanks for joining me right to the end. I hope you found it informative. Hope you found it helpful. Look, just have a go, play around with it. You can't go wrong. Just remember that little brass washer goes in between the gearing. Have a great day. Go for rides. Have fun. Fall off. Dust yourself off. Get back up again. Keep carving. And we'll see you in the next video. Till then, Andrew Penman signing off.